The Seat Leon Cupra facelift, now with 300 horsepower and also an optional all-wheel drive, is today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. We're here on the top of Montjuic near Barcelona, so we have a top view on Barcelona, 180 meters, and see all of the famous sights here. And it's a very special mood in this very evening, with some music in the background, also live playing. And we'll use this mood to present you the exterior and the interior of the Seat Leon Cupra facelift. And later on we will also hammer this new engine and also test the all-wheel drive on the racetrack and also normal on the countryside. And of course all of this again in Autogefühl in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! So the facelift still exists for the Cupra in the SC 3-door version, the 5-door version, and as we have here the ST, the Estate. And the Estate is also the one that can be combined exclusively with the all-wheel drive and DSG. Later more to that. Let's first start here with the front. New headlights, even sharper than before. The orange contrast here, by the way, is due to the performance pack. This is an orange performance pack that adds this design here in the front and also at the side profile. And special about the headlights is again that you have those full LED lights. They come as standard for the Cupra version and will of course give you better light performance, especially in the evening and well, with a car that can obviously drive fast. So while a 3 or 5 door Seat Leon Cupra is at 4 meters 26 or 14 foot, this one here, the Estate or the ST as we call it, then this one here is a little bit longer, 4 meters 56 or 14 foot 9. And it starts in the Cupra version with 19-inch rims. That's the one we also see here at the moment, just that in this version they are optionally orange. It's really contrasting. I would like to hear your opinion. Is it too much or is it exactly right for you? Also, the Performance Pack Orange comes with those side mirrors here, also in a contrasting color. And a very neat little detail is that the lower bumper here has also a black part. Very interesting. And again, those orange rims, of course, at the rear. Other than that, we got the side profile, pretty classic line, also with the rails, roof rails here with the Estate version. And then also this design line, I want you to remember it because we will exactly see this one here also in the interior. It's a very interesting aspect. And above the door handles we have here the main design line for the Estate. It is split. You can see it here, comes from here and then it evolves right there. Diff solves here, evolves right here. Pretty interesting design and one of the most sporty Estates for sure in this segment. I would think everyone would agree to that. Also at the rear, the design is very clean and sporty. I just love it, I have to admit. Also the Cupra letters here, all single, they have reworked those ones here. And those tail lights also very horizontally drawn. And then some details which don't mix the design up, they really comply. For example, those black accentuations right there. And then of course the Cupra version comes with this big diffuser and also the extra exhaust pipes, but I think it's not too much exactly right. It is still an elegant sporty car because, you know, some of the very hot versions, they are a little bit too much, but I think here they found a good mix. And you could also get a new 300 badge right there. What do you think? So, and as for prices, a normal Leon Cupra ST here, also when you put even more in there, you can then get to 40,000 euros. DSG and all-wheel drive combination, and the normal ST would start at 17,000 euros in Germany, so more than double the price, but you also get a lot for it. Soon show you more. Also in this performance package you get bigger Brembo brake disc and the Pilot Sport Cup 2 Michelin tires for racing. And the only way you can differentiate the all-wheel drive model from the outside, you got this additional 4-drive badge in the lower left at the rear. And another shot comparison here, still with the performance pack, but without the orange version, that you can see how this car looks in this special matte white color without the orange wheels and without the orange front. So, I mean, the orange one is really screaming out. I would probably prefer this one here. It's a little bit more subtle, definitely. Still 19-inch rims, and again, I think for an Estate a great design. Or what do you think? We are focusing on the ST version today because this one is also available with the all-wheel drive. But here also to show you how the hatch version looks like, you know, SC 3-door or 5-door. This one here, the 5-door version. And there are also two new colors available, Mystery Blue and Desire Red. That's this one here, and a really beautiful red color, isn't it? And I think also the 5-door version, I think Seat really got it on with the design at the moment. Also with 19-inch rims as standard with the Cupra. And no matter, you also see probably the video with AJ with a normal Leon facelift. Already a normal Leon looks very sporty. And here of course is the Cupra version with the sporty elements, even a little bit more aggressive. What do you think? ST or the 5-door? What's your favorite? And another color, yet also another version for you, the third version here, the SC, the 3-door variant. It has also its own beauty for sure, and if you compare it to the 5-door version, I think this one is also the more beautiful one. Probably design-wise it is my favorite, but to be honest I would never go for that one because it's the least versatile one for everyday driving. You cannot access the back that well. The 5-door version doesn't look that much different, and probably if you want to even maybe put the bicycle or bigger stuff in there, the Estate is the best pick and also has the all-wheel drive then. But design-wise, this one really has something, doesn't it? What's your favorite? get inside. Solid door handles and good door closing sound. And what I really like, already inside of the doors, Alcantara surface, standard production, and then you got another fabric material right here with contour stitches, so very good quality here. Also against softened plastics. Just that lower part here, that is in a hard plastic, because this one is quite often scratches also, and therefore they keep it in that way. A slim space just here at the inside of the doors. You can put, for example, cases for your glasses right there. And then really the highlight are those seats, definitely the performance seats. You can see them right here. But what is always standard with the Cupra is that you got microfiber, this Alcantara on the inside, and then leatherette on the outside. That's a perfect sustainable and yet sporty solution, and you also don't get that hot in summer times and not that cold in winter times. It's really good with Seat, they pay attention to that, and also the normal models, they can be get, for example, with the fabric leatherette combination, but here the Cupra serial of standard equipment comes with that one, so really good job, and it also looks very sporty and very nice. And then in general you see everything is quite dark, so that's again a sporty look, of course, even if you maybe like it brighter, but you know, sport is quite often combined with a little evilness and darkness, and that's probably the reason they did it that way. Also with some glossy elements here at the steering wheel, and again some more Cupra logos. Let's get inside. Right there, those sporty seats. 1m86 or 6'1" is my height, and here you see at the A-pillar it gets quite close. Still have some more room left, but above 190 or above 6'2" you should rather not be. Here also the panoramic roof inbuilt, that's causing also a little bit headroom. In general, a neutral compact seating position, of course with those sporty seats that offer side support, lower part, also the side part. Not unlike as we later seen in the Focus RS, where those side bolsters in the optional performance seats there were very hard, which is good on the race rig, but not that comfortable to get in and out. Here it's pretty easy. Still a good position, and you basically feel like a normal Leon, like in a normal compact car, and that's also the key to this car, that it has a lot of different purposes. You can just use it as a normal Seat Leon, but still have a version with a lot of power. So that's already the first impression. And interesting, if you look, for example, should I go for a Skoda Octavia RS or for a Seat Leon ST Cupra? Because we had this question recently from Dennis, and well, I told him the main difference is if you are quite tall yourself and you maybe have a family, probably the Octavia is the best solution. If you like it a little sportier and don't need the space, then you should go with that one here, because here you do feel like being in a compact car. In the Skoda Octavia, it's a little bit longer car, also has a little bit more room in the front. You feel more like you would be in a mid-size segment car, so that's the basic difference how you feel here in the front. And of course, soon more details to those gauges, because they're really attractive, always looking to them automatically when being in the Cupra. And very interesting, I love to show you those different versions. Those ones here, this is another car now, and you can see those ones are not the performance seats, still standard, as I said, microfiber inside, leatherette outside, great. But then you see the performance seats, they have those integrated headrests. Those ones here, the head restraints are separately, and you see the seat is a little bit more open. That's very interesting, and when I take a seat I can also tell you more about the difference, because you really have a more spacious feeling in here then. And so I would really recommend you just to stay with the standard seats with the Cupra. You don't have to do anything, just not order the optional seats, the optional performance seats. They give you a little cozier feeling in everyday driving. Also when you're a little bit taller or bigger, then it's also helping. Of course, it also depends from body to body. Some might say, you know, the performance seats suit me better. I'm not sure if you can maybe try it out yourself at a dealer. I can just say from my personal taste, the performance seats look better. They are also better at the racetrack. But for everyday driving, I would just recommend you to go with the standard ones. Good thing, you can also save some money. cockpit overview, and first of all you remember the side profile. There it is, this design line, and it's the same really than the side profile of the car. Very beautiful that they repeat design elements in the interior. Quality wise they have really even more stepped up the game. See here also soft plastics on the top of the dashboard, and everything is really highly processed. It's not complicated, it's a simple layout. You have a good overview. It's not too much playing around, not a joyful interior, but you know, this elegance and cleanness also helps you to get along because everything is self-explanatory. The Cupra also features white contrast stitches here on the inside of the steering wheel, a sports steering wheel with a good grip. Classical instruments, more soon details to that. Also got Cupra logos, steering wheel, and also on the shifting. Here, shifting lever, and this one here is the 6-speed manual with the front wheel drive. But we'll also show you how the DSG with the all-wheel drive lever looks from the inside. Climate tuned right here, easily accessible. You can see it right here. The start-stop button has this heartbeat function to welcome you, and you can already see it right here. Soon more to this new infotainment system, because this one here is the top one, 8-inch. Here, for example, with sport information. Here we go with the instruments. Also got a Cupra logo, and I found them quite similar to Audi instruments. You can see those white letters very clearly. Left side big RPM meter, and in the middle part you can have digital speed or also some GPS info. Here we have still some buttons. I mean, the control here for the vents. You can easily see everything, but I turn it off as it's more silent in here. And special Cupra button, there you can change the driving modes, comfort, sport, the Cupra and individual. And we will talk about those modes when we drive the car. They make more sense when you also have a DSG, as the shifting is changed a little bit. A small storage space, for example, for your smartphone. This is also the place where you can use the inductive charging when your smartphone or your smartphone case supports that. And we now have 2 USB plug-ins. There you can also have it for your cable connection for the smartphone connectivity. And this is how it looks like with the DSG, the dual clutch transmission with this different shifting lever. It looks a little bit more elegant here in the lower middle console. And well, with the all-wheel drive combined, the technological difference is of course the biggest one, and we will drive both cars, DSG with all-wheel drive like it is here right now, and also the other one, the front-wheel drive manual. We will show you the difference in the driving part. New spot here for the key, and well, it is quite small, and just when you have the key without anything else around it. What about you? Do you have your key separately, or do you also have it together with your home keys and stuff? And electric park brake, also with an auto function that gets released and also put in. That's a very comfortable solution. It's more comfortable and cannot freeze in winter. That's the positive side. The other side is when you have a manual handbrake, then you can always just pull something manually. I like that as well, but it also saves you a lot of space and makes it cleaner in the middle console. Bottle holders, they are not adaptive, no knobs here, but you have 2 different sizes at least. Then one more storage space, and then good sign for quality is again here, this armrest is really properly attached. And here some more space in there, and you can always remove those small rubber pads here that you can also clean it, because it gets dirty at some point. Then you can maybe just like rinse water over it, for example. So we have the optional panoramic roof mounted here. It's really huge, and you can also open it very widely. So this gives you almost convertible feeling. So this would be closest to a convertible estate here. So very wide is opening right here. And I mean, if you think about, it gets too hot, you know, I'm driving it also in Barcelona in summer times and 40 degrees Celsius. Then you also have this shade. It takes some time, you have to press it right here then, and then the shade comes right there and really darkens the car then, but you really want to have that when it's very hot inside. So standard equipment in a normal Seat Leon would be 5.8 inch, the small infotainment screen, but then for the FR the Excellence and the Cupra trim leather as we have it here. The new 8-inch infotainment screen is from the standard equipment. You can see there's no sensor here anymore, probably because it wouldn't fit the size, so no proximity sensor anymore. You know, I liked it pretty much, the proximity sensor, but they obviously needed the space for the bigger screen then. So you have this grid view. You can also go to a carousel view where you can scroll around, but this one here is handier, I think. One thing you've already seen in the vehicle status here, for you can put the sport info for the G-forces and the turbo pressure bar. That's a funny thing. Then you have a volume knob left, and this knob here directly leads to the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, for example, or MirrorLink. Then you can use the smartphone like this, connected via the cable, or you can go with the third button here. This is the home main button, and there you can access it again. And then let's take a look at the GPS, a closer one. You see here the proximity sensor is gone. So usually those ones were activated by the proximity sensor. Now you have to click once in the screen to reach them. Then you can also scroll in it and also zoom in and out like with a smartphone. We were generally very satisfied with the infotainment system. The only thing we sometimes felt when you were driving and then click one of those buttons here to center the map again, something that took some time. Other than that, we were very satisfied also with reaching the GPS functions and so on. So, and you can also have traffic or put some images on there, maybe from your dog or from your cat. And this is set up all pretty intuitive and overall a very good system. And the rear view camera is triggered by setting in the rear gear and reverse gear, and there we have it. Some people taking a photograph from behind now, very funny. So this is the PDC then, but you can also put it directly and see the man taking a photograph of this Leon Cupra. Always funny, that's also a reason why we did it here in front of the folks, because you can see the reactions from the people, and people were very interested in this car, definitely. So what about the rear? Same nice design with the Alcantara in the middle, and some more room in front of my knees still left. The difference, the Estate and the normal hatch version, is not too much the same with the Volkswagen Golf. It's just a little bit here in the rear for the rear passengers. The real difference is more as for the length of the trunk there behind. But here, a little bit more room. And with the panoramic roof, you see it still works here for me, but if you have a lot of tall adults in the rear all the time, probably you should leave out the panoramic roof and then have a little bit more headroom. And this is of course also a little bit better with the Estate, as it goes rather straight further to the back if you compare it to those hatch versions. And here we switch cars again. This is the interior without the performance seats. You see the visual part is all the same in the rear for the rear bench, but now it gets really interesting. And this is my second point why I would go for the standard seats, not the performance seats. I have more room in front of my knees. So the performance seats, they seem to be a little bit more voluminous at the rear part here. Those ones here do a better job. So two advantages here. And also very interesting, I mean, I found that amazing as a service for all possible customers, because even at the dealer, you cannot often see so many variations. Here, we do not have the panoramic roof, and that leaves you more headroom here in the rear. So this is the difference now. You see, before it was like this. So again, tall people in the rear leave out the panoramic roof, or if you think it gets too hot when you're in a very, very hot climate. Other than that, panoramic roof also leaves a lot of light inside the interior. That's, again, you know, you have to bargain that a little bit. Here we go with the hatch, flip the Seat logo, and then what is very nice, for the cover here, you can use those rails, just like this, and press it. They're all fixed attached. It's a nice solution. Then here the lengths, you can really very well use it. Below this cover there can also be a replacement tire. Inside is then the Seat sound system, optional and really nice sound. We have tested it, clear sound. You can also already in a compact car have a really good sound system. We were amazed by that. Then you can also very well flip the seats from here. It is also possible from the rear bench, but this one is the clearly better solution, and they also flip down all the way, and then you can really use the full capacity of the car. You see also top tethers here at the rear of the seats, and that shows again that you can probably attach child seats easily to flip up, and also with Isofix covers on the front of the seat, so 2 child seat is very well possible. So now to the powerhouse. And what has changed? So you might remember, looking at the history of the Seat Leon Cupra, in this generation it started with the differentiation 260, 265 and 280, then was stepped up to a 290 horsepower version, and now the differentiation is gone. Just 300 horsepower, that's it, because they say if someone picked a Cupra, most of the time the top horsepower version, and so there it is. So just 300 horsepower for the Seat Leon Cupra from this 2-liter TSI, the turbo petrol engine. Acceleration figures. If you have a front-wheel drive, manual hand drive, 5.7 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 0 to 62 miles an hour. Put a DSG in it, 5.6, a little bit less, and then this is the big new thing. The Estate can exclusively be combined with DSG and all-wheel drive, and then you go to 4.9 seconds. So you save 0.7 seconds in the acceleration then. So there you see this much power that is just on the front wheel just before. It's not really working that well when you take all things into account. 300 horsepower is too much for a front axle. Only with your all-wheel drive you can get the full potential, especially when it's a little bit slippery or, for example, on the racetrack. So those are the facts, and we will of course soon test this one in different conditions and tell you everything about the differences. So guys, we'll start on the racetrack with the new all-wheel drive in the Estate DSG combination, and we'll also start with our Alpina Watches acceleration moment. Let's go! Wow, really nice performance, and in front of us there's another Cupra, a 5-door Cupra, and we'll try to follow it. So especially when accelerating out of the corners, there the all-wheel drive helps us. Well, listen to the sound and also to the DSG fart, as you call it. Great progressive steering. You see, I don't have to turn the steering wheel that much. That eases the racetrack driving for sure. Hammering the brakes, the Brembo brakes. Those one do a better job, especially on the racetrack, as you don't have that much of this fading out effect. But the normal brakes, of course, for everyday driving will do just fine. A great neutral handling of the car we have. Think from the sound. 160 now, and even not that loud here inside the car. So of course it's an even flat racetrack, but I don't have to raise my voice that much. It's also interesting. And you feel, in comparison to the two-wheel drive car I really know very well, for a normal driver, this one here, the four-wheel drive, is even better to handle. You can get the performance to the ground even better. So, because sometimes when you inside a corner and maybe make the mistakes hammering the throttle inside the corner too much, then you have this little bit understeering effect with the two-wheel drive car, and you do not have this with a four-wheel drive car. But then again, you can say when you're a good race trip driver, you don't hammer the throttle inside the corner that much anyway. So we'll later also talk with Jordi Genet professional racetrack driver, and he will tell us what he thinks about the four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive difference from a race driver's experience. And we will also have the countryside riding with both of the versions, so pretty interesting stuff to come. So far, enjoy racetrack here now. Just keeping it a little bit slow here. Start and stop. And we'll hammer one more round for you guys. So this is really a family estate that is suitable for the racetrack, and that's not that often the case. I remember driving the Golf R variant on the racetrack, also on a very tight one. This one is not that tight as Ascari, where I was driving the Golf R racetrack. And those cars can really be compared, because they both have all-wheel drive. They behave pretty much the same. Such a good handling, and it's also not that hard to drive this car on a racetrack, so you don't feel too exhausted. Everyone could drive it on a racetrack, I think. And I mean, from this sound, would you believe it's a 2-liter 4-cylinder? Rather not, I guess. Always watch how little I just have to turn the steering wheel, have perfect control of the car. Also G-meter. We can watch 0.4 G when we brake, but it wasn't all on the brakes. Here now in the corner, 0.7 G. Here on the curbs, 0.8 G. So from this facelift, especially the DSG all-wheel drive combination, wow. They've even lifted the car in totally. So because I don't also feel the surplus in weight as a non-professional race driver, so this is really better for me to drive, even so much fun. And now if I'm, not doing it perfectly, if I'm on the gas too early, even then, so I induced it now on purpose, but even then, there's no effect of understeering, and that is really reduced by this all-wheel drive, because then also more torque is directed to the rear wheels. The general all-wheel drive system works front plus rear, so if you're just rolling the car is still going front-wheel drive, and then we have more also use the launch control. The very initial shot after our initial report, like saying hello, the Autogefühl and stuff, that one was using the launch control, so the revs are limited. You can hammer the brakes, you have to go for ESC Sport with the DSG, then hammer the brakes, hammer throttle, and then it goes all the way. And there also so much of the rear wheel torque is being used. And here, of course, now also on the racetrack we could enjoy some rear wheel drive stuff. So a pretty impressive car. I mean, it's a normal car you can buy, a compact segment here, and that was really amazing. So let's now move on to more street driving. Now, let's listen. And this is the DSG, four-wheel drive, and you immediately feel the difference also when being the acceleration on a normal dry track, because it is a lot more harmonic. So, and the same is also when you compare, for example, rear-wheel drive cars with, just for example, with the all-wheel drive version, you have basically the same effect. So with an all-wheel drive car, the acceleration is always more harmonic, as it's really coming from both axles. Comfort mode here now, and with the DSG, the drive profile has also a bigger effect. Already in comfort mode, the car is definitely very sporty, that's no question. but you can even step up the game, and we will show you that also here. For example, Autobahn driving, when you get in traffic, is of course more comfortable with the DSG combined. And the all-wheel drive will more play an effect, of course, when there's slippery conditions, for example in winter times, or when it's wet. When it's dry like today, it doesn't play the biggest role as for producing a lot of slippery conditions. But when we soon get to some corners and stuff, then I also can tell you more. What about when accelerating out the corners also in everyday driving life? Because you know they have this differential lock-down in the front-wheel drive models already, and that helps, but it does not 100% even out the differences then. So there is still a difference now to the all-wheel drive models, and of course it more plays an effect when you really hammer the car. The slower you drive the car, the less difference you will feel between front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. The more extreme you move the car, or the more slippery the conditions are, then you feel the difference. As for the driving modes, this is now obvious with the DSG. If I put in the Cupra mode, got an earlier downshift and also a later upshift. So the car is being kept in higher RPM regions. You can always also use the shifting pedals here at the steering wheel. So if you prefer it in a different mode, or what you can also do if you want a comfortable steering, but want to, for example, have a very sporty shifting, you can put the shifting lever one step behind, and then you are in a comfort driving mode, but you are in the sport shifting mode. There it is. You got an immediate reaction, and then also this downshifting is not necessarily needed. And for example, when you're doing a U-turn, I'll do a U-turn now, then it also helps pretty much to have the automatic transmission. You don't have to reach for the manual shifting box. Just easy, car shifts down itself. Yeah, definitely the performance is more harmonic now with the all-wheel drive, and at the same time, so it's better for the speed, 0.7 seconds difference is this car faster in the acceleration to 100 kilometers or to 62 miles an hour. That's the first difference. At the same time, the acceleration is better bearable because you have them from both axles. Now we get to the more cornery stuff. The cornery stuff, that's funny, right? Here we go. And when you have the throttle in, let's say, half position, it doesn't make such a difference. But as soon as you hammer the throttle totally, then you do feel the difference. Overview, by the way, is so great for this car. Also, when you turn around to the side, to the very rear, you can see so much, and that's even better in the ST, the estate version. It's better than in the 5-door or especially in the 3-door variant. You can better see in the estate version. Driving-wise, it doesn't make such a big difference. Yes, this one here is a little bit longer, but the driving characteristics are pretty much the same for the estate and for the hatch version. Maybe the hatch is a little bit more agile, but then again, you only have the all-wheel drive option now for the ST, which is newly introduced, this all-wheel drive option. And that's of course giving the estate version a massive advantage. It's really amazing how well this car handles on the roads, and that can spice up your everyday driving life for sure. This progressive steering does a great job, you see, especially with the DSG combination. I don't have to put my hands off the steering wheel. I can keep it at the steering wheel all the time. and look at the angle of the curves and the angle of the steering, and you see it's quite equal and you don't have to grab over for the steering wheel. That's really nice for everyday driving, but also for sporty driving. Bam, bam, bam. So the DSG is really hammering in the gears, and this so-called DSG fart at Volkswagen sports cars or Volkswagen Corporation sports cars, we know it from Audi, from Seat, Volkswagen. It's also giving another sound bite to this car. So I would say definitely with the DSG the sound is more aggressive, as you have this shifting momentum giving you this plop from the exhaust. Let's also go into the Cupra mode. Let's see what we can change right there. I mean, I was already in this S Sport mode. The Cupra mode makes the steering wheel just a little bit stiffer, and also the suspension gets a little bit stiffened up. The differences are not that huge, but notable. So it does make a small difference. On the racetrack it's more difference definitely when you push the boundaries. When everyday driving, usually again, you could also go the other way around, Cupra mode and then the normal D driving mode, because in commuting to work, for example, you would probably, leave it with the D mode, as you don't want to hear the RPMs all the time that much. You also got a nice sound, even in the 6th gear. You heard that? There was a low frequency sound from the 6th gear. That is doing a low frequency on purpose. But we can also do this menu shifting here, for example, now here back to 4th gear. Plop, in. Also good Autobahn performance. Sound insulation is doing quite well here. So we'll get off the motorway. Doing a small loop here for you to make it a little bit more cornery. We go into the S, the sport mode for the DSG again, and we are also in the Cupra mode now. Let's see what we can do also with accelerating out the corners. So much fun to drive this car. Oh wow, police is stopping Lamborghini and the Lotus, obviously they were doing some racing, was now also looking behind me. Probably the police officer thinks, shall I catch this guy as well? But I'm glad they're busy with the Lamborghini and with the 2 Lotus guys. So thank you very much, guys, if you're watching this and you just got a fine from the police. You're keeping them busy for us. Maybe they're not coming after us yet. Have to do some paperwork still. So better chance for us to show you some more of this performance. Great roads here. Always pay attention when there are some people running in. A little bit of gravel on the road now here as well. Still a good traction from those Michelin half slick tires, the special sport tires you can get with the performance pack. What a great traction, and I think the all-wheel drive makes the car even more balanced, more harmonic. So you have a better performance, but yet a better drivability at the same time. And really pay attention to this progressive steering. They don't have to work the steering wheel that much. That's also something very special about this car. Yeah, and now when I really push the throttle till the end, I can also feel the difference. So with the front-wheel drive only car, although you have the mechanical half mechanical differential lock there in the front. It can happen that you really hammer the throttle till the very end, inside a corner. So with the rear-wheel drive car, what would happen? Car would overtake you just a little bit, you know, on dry roads, not that much driving out. But with the front-wheel drive car with so much horsepower, you just drive straight. You know, it's understeering, classic understeering. And so there are some other guys filming here. Maybe we can help them out. So, and with these all-wheel drive cars, and also more torque is distributed to the rear wheels. You know, it's flexible, it's still a front plus rear wheel all-wheel drive system, you have to be aware of that. But still, so much torque is then distributed to the rear that this understeering in the corners when you hammer the throttle really is prevented. And especially here, as you also hearing that on camera, we got some loose gravel. So this would be a situation then also where we have more spin on the front wheels. And I'm not feeling that at all. And later on we will also drive the front wheel drive version and compare it. But I can already say, because I've driven the Cupra before a couple of times, you do feel that it's only front wheel drive and this understeering can happen, but it's really only when you hammer the throttle until the very end. And that happens just, you know, when you're driving racetrack or really have the space. I mean, here it's even sometimes a little bit too narrow to hammer the throttle really all to the very end. So that's not happening too much. But the overdrive makes the car easier to drive, safer to drive, definitely also because you don't have this understeering. And then again, as I said, also in this winter time. And in general about the Seat Leon, it's so light, it's so agile, so it's a perfect family racer. Also, if you compare it to a Skoda Octavia RS, the RS is a bigger car, it's not as agile as this one here. This one here also has more power, you do feel the difference. Then again, you have a little bit less space. And the Octavia at some point, especially for taller people, might be maybe a little more comfortable. Although those seats here do a good job. I mean, we have here the integrated head restraints with the performance seats. In the interior part, I've also shown you those standard sport seats, which I would recommend. I found them a little bit more comfortable also, especially on the long-term run to ride this car. Yeah, I think conclusion here from the driving, the all-wheel drive, yes, it is worth the surplus price if you want to go so far. Of course, you can also save money. The front-wheel drive is basically enough. But this one here, if you either want to have it for safety reasons, or if you want to hammer the car even more, the all-wheel drive definitely does make sense, because 300 horsepower just alone on the front-wheel drive is actually too much just for a front axle. So we've driven the four-wheel drive model now. We'll also soon give you more details to the two-wheel drive model, but of course we already know it from before. And our first impression is really the four-wheel drive model is easier to drive, has for the normal customer more performance. But how is it for the race driver? Because here, Jordi Genet, you maybe know him from other videos already from us, and he's a professional race driver, pretty famous also, especially in Spain. How is it really for a race driver? Would you pick the four-wheel or the two-wheel drive?
Yeah, depends the conditions, but in dry conditions in a racing circuit, I would choose the front-wheel drive. It's a bit lighter car. With the differential we have, the UVAQ differential, we can transmit this power really well onto the asphalt. So it's a lighter one, lighter version than the four-wheel drive, and this gives us at the end of the stopwatch a little bit of time. But if you tell me what car do you get for day-by-day use, probably I take the four-wheel drive, because it's in slippery conditions, in rain, snow, or in very twisty roads, it could have an advantage. So depends on what conditions I can choose one, depends on what conditions I can choose another one.
That's really astonishing, because we've told you the acceleration figure is way better for the all-wheel drive model, 0.7 seconds better to 100 kilometers, but still you can probably score a better lap on the track. How is it possible?
Well, because from 0 to 100 it's clearly better. It has a much better way to transmit this power. The front-wheel drive car from 0 till you have 50-60 kilometers per hour is a little bit of wheel spin, so the electronic control works to help you to put this power down. But once you have 70, 80 kilometers per hour, the front-wheel drive traction is very good because of this front differential we have. And from that moment, a lighter car means a better acceleration. So from, let's say, 100 to 200, this car can accelerate a little bit better because it's lighter. And in a circuit, normally we are always above 100 kilometers per hour. And this is where we can compensate this lack of acceleration from the very first moment.
So very interesting insight here for you at home. Probably the four-wheel drive model will be the better choice then, at least if you want to spend the money. And well, Jordi would probably go for the two-wheel drive model if it's for lap time, because in racing it's a lot about weight. Thanks for the insight here.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Now some performance with the front-wheel drive car and manual gearbox. We're driving up Montserrat Mountain, and later on we'll also tell you more about how this car behaves, you know, in a normal sense, just rolling countryside and autobahn stuff and so. Let's here just first push the car a little bit. We check if we are, yes, we're in the Cupra mode, and let's have some fun with manual shifting. Third gear now. Wow, what a performance. Incredible. Back to second. Great steering here with the progressive steering, you see. Now a 90-degree corner is almost the corner is the angle at the steering wheel. Nice sound. Can remain basically in second gear here now. Great. This is a lot of fun. And is there a big difference between the Estate and the 5-door version? Well, the Estate is a little bit longer. So the 5-door or 3-door is maybe a little bit more agile. But I mean, as this one here also has a great handling, there's not that huge difference. So in front of us now Citroen C4 Cactus. Let's see if we can overtake that one at a safe spot. But so much fun here, and that's also part where the manual shifting is also a lot of fun. Of course, with the DSG you can keep your hands at the steering wheel all the time. It's also a safety factor, especially when you have a lot of corners like here. So if I had the free choice, I would still go for the DSG. You know, more safety, more relaxed, and it can be sportier at the same time. And all-wheel drive or not all-wheel drive? Well, that's a good question here, but I mean, I cannot use the maximum acceleration right here. Oh, there's a row of vehicles right there. I cannot use the maximum acceleration right here, and then it also doesn't make such a difference if we have the all-wheel drive or the front-wheel drive. So instead of overtaking like 10 cars in front of me, I'll just drive slowly now, that we have some more room then again to hammer the throttle. That's always the problem then with the public roads. That's the reason we went on the racetrack before. There you can really hammer the car through. Public roads you always have to pay attention, of course, safety first at Autogefühl, and you know, we drive faster, just a couple of meters, and then already you catch up to the very next cars. That happens very fast, and you see how fast you can go, which pace you can go with this car. For example, now I can't even see those cars in front of me anymore, and you will see I just be driving like maybe a minute or so, and then we will have caught up to the cars again, because we're really so fast with this vehicle, and it's definitely suitable for anything racing alike. And I've also felt, show you that again now, the front differential lock, because even here with the front-wheel drive version, I don't have this effect due to this system, that I lose steering power when I'm hammering the front wheels too much. Now again, the corner, good really on the brakes here with those Brembo brakes. push it a little bit more in the second gear. See the effect when I really want to force the issue with the front wheel. It's really tight corner here. Yeah, just now, maybe you also heard it. The front wheel started to slip and then it was reduced again. Yeah, I feel it a little bit in the steering wheel. But it's immediately corrected then. So very interesting. So it doesn't make you lose control of the car. But it's just like, let's say half of a second when you have the steering wheel turned. Then you feel it's getting like stuck just for the half of a second, maybe just very slightly, but very well to control so with the differential lock. But I think here in this case we really try to force the issue to get the difference between the all-wheel drive and the front-wheel drive model. You still feel a little bit, it's very well handled for 300 horsepower in the front. But if you want to have this effect totally gone away, there the all-wheel drive then even steps up the game. A very relaxed car. We've also spent now an hour on the motorway, for example, with also a little bit higher speed. Sound insulation I think is a little bit better in the Volkswagen Golf. Skoda Octavia and Seat Leon can be compared generally from sound insulation. It's not too loud though, I mean in the general segment wise, so also quite good result. And you can drive this car also very calmly on the motorway. In front of us, by the way, also an older Seat Leon generation. You can also check the Seat Leon Generations episode. There you can exactly see which generation it is and also more about the details of each generation, because in this episode we had from every Leon generation, the normal and the Cupra version. I will link this video also in the video description below. Be sure to check it out. We were on a racetrack, then an old one, so beautiful pictures. Definitely check out this episode after watching this one here. Well, also with the front wheel drive you can do some handling tests. The progressive steering is standard with the Leon. That does a great job. You always can keep the hands at the steering wheel, except when you want to shift here right now. And of course also when being in the normal mode, just one time on the throttle and the car's immediately there. There is no real turbo lag. And this is also maybe an advantage of the front wheel drive. Not sure with the DSG if you will very often use the shifting pedals. Here with the front wheel drive you're a little bit more in control, I would say. Sometimes you start in the lower gear and maybe can time your acceleration maneuvers a little bit better. Then again, when you go to the 6th gear, you can let the car roll. Here, about 90 kilometers an hour and just below 2000 RPM. We are right here now. So you can also at any time make it a very relaxed feeling. And again, with those dry conditions here, even when accelerating, hard really to feel a difference between the all-wheel drive and the front-wheel drive then. You're shifting back. You always have a good sound then. Wow. I mean, you can really imagine it would be a 6-cylinder, so much horsepower we have here. We've also been testing on the motorway the different driving modes. When you have it, for example, set from Comfort to Cupra, which is the biggest difference, then there is a slight difference. In the Cupra it's a little bit stiffer. The Comfort mode rolls a little bit more, but it's not a huge difference. But it's a notable difference. And we also felt, because the DCC, which is also again standard for the Cupra, has been reworked. It's the same with the Octavia facelift and the Leon facelift. They have both worked on the DCC setup, and for both cars we felt that the cars have been made more comfortable. So especially, you know, some sounds and rolling effects from the rear axle, those have been improved with the new DCC setup. So that's definitely a step forward. Most of the time I would just leave it in the comfort mode. especially when you have the manual shifter here, and that's also a difference. With the driving modes, when you have it combined with the DSG, they make more difference because the shifting then is later up, earlier down. When you have the manual drive anyway, the driving modes don't play such a big effect. You know, the steering is also changed in the comfort mode. It's a little bit softer, the steering, than in the Cupra mode. The Cupra mode makes the steering wheel a little bit stiffer, but basically I'm fine in all of the modes. So again, just slight differences, but you can also have this individual driving profiles to really set those commands to your desire. That's also great because sometimes you say, you know, I like the car, but steering wheel is too stiff or too light, and then you can just control it and also just set this very one singular feature, just for example the steering wheel and nothing else. In the front screen here I can also put you the digital speed that you can follow that one, also a lap timer, driving data now. Consumption, by the way, will be lower with the non-all-wheel drive model. All-wheel drive always gives you a higher consumption. You have to be aware of that. Here, for example, now, what you can score with this car, we had mostly Autobahn now, that will be the minimum consumption, 8.3 liters, 100 kilometers. Put it in Google and say in MPG if you want to have the MPG figure. I mean, for a 3.5 horsepower car, that's okay. It can, of course, always be lower, but that's the minimum you will score. When you have more city driving inside, you will surely land up with 10 liters at least. So this one here you can reach, and I think it's always good that we present you the minimum consumption, which you can go when you have, you know, when you want to have a calm driving, and then also tell you what are the really realistic figures when driving. And now the street gets a little bit more curvy here, and the car is really a great compromise between comfort and sportiness. You know, we had lately also other cars, for example the Ford Focus RS, which was not a compromise at all. It was all set on the you know, on the sporty element for sure, and I was hopping around like this. But here, even in the Cupra mode, I get a good contact to the road, but still it's not uncomfortable at all. And wow, very nice here. Those landscape near Barcelona, still just an hour of driving away. Almost looks like a little bit like in Utah from those rock formations. Just a little bit too green for that. So some more rain here for sure. Even at higher speeds here now, at about almost 100 kilometers, still very stable. Also in the comfort mode from suspension, so there's no big tilting to the sides. And shifting down, for example, is also very fast and smooth again. I'll reduce speed a little bit to 60. Also go down with our gears. And when we, for example, in third gear, we also hear more from the sound than a little bit higher RPM. Always good to hear here from the Cupra. And then again, we can go a little bit faster. For example, in third gear, 60 to 90. And that's it already. So you see, even in those middle speed regions, still a great performance. And the performance difference then, just to mention that again, this was 5.7 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour in this car here. Then if we put the DSG in, 5.6, and DSG plus all-wheel drive, which we have driven initially, that was 4.9. So that is a difference, but you still feel very fast also when you just have the front wheel drive. So I mean, if you go for the top version anyway, or maybe have a good leasing offer, there recently also was a very good leasing offer in Germany already for the top version with all-wheel drive, which was really good leasing rate. I mean, then just take the all-wheel drive if you have a good offer for that. It's always nice to have it. But going for a standard entry Cupra, why not? So then you also just do fine with the front-wheel drive here. Both great cars for sure, little differences. And I hope you enjoyed all of our riding impressions today. The SC, the 3-door, the 5-door, or here the Estate, the ST. You have plenty of choices. We presented you almost all of them today, also in different colors, different interiors. Hope you can also find our tips very useful for the seat packages. And also performance is also, again, a very interesting information. We had those semi-slicks here today, and well, I would get, if you want to have the performance pack, just simple, but without those semi-slicks, because for everyday driving, when it gets wet, this could be dangerous because those semi-slicks, they are not good on wet conditions. So for you, as a private driver, surely wouldn't take the semi-slicks unless you say, I don't drive when it's wet, and I take it for the racetrack. Then, exterior, no matter which version there is, Seat is really on the game there. The Leon, one of the most beautiful compact cars for me, and if it's also for you, then put me your comment there in our comments section. Interior also very refined from the build quality, also very well organized. The upgrade with the infotainment system. We lost the proximity sensor, but then we got a bigger screen, so that's a bargain you could probably handle. Driving-wise, was very interesting today. In general, it's a great handling car. With two-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, well, you do realize the difference when you're in the corner and then totally hammer the throttle. But then again, maybe from racetrack driving, you shouldn't do that anyway, because in the corner you usually keep a steady speed and then accelerate out of the corner at the very end, and then it doesn't play such a role anymore. And we also heard from the racetrack driver, the professionals, that they actually would prefer less weight. So from front-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, you add more weight. And from manual to automatic, you also add more weight. And when you then end up with 50-60 kilograms more, it makes a difference on the racetrack. However, for you, as a daily customer, and also profit from that in slippery conditions, snow, ice, rain and so on, you will more profit than from a four-wheel drive, easier to drive and easier to get the performance then. So I think if you don't care really about a couple of €1,000 then for the extra price, the four-wheel drive will be the better, more fun and safer car for you, I think. But doesn't mean you will be bad off with the front-wheel drive only. I think we showed you that in our various driving parts. Thank you very much for watching Autogefühl. Also tune in next time, and now also check out the Leon Generations video I mentioned earlier. Really worthwhile watching. Thanks so much. Tune in next time.